Stand by to initiate release sequencer. On my mark. 5.
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2. 1. Mark.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mark, a.k.a. Derringer. Today is Sunday, July 15th, and you are listening to episode 165 of the Instant Action Podcast, your weekly source for Planetside 2 news and information. As always, I'm brought to you by great listeners like you via the Support the Show tab on instantactionpodcast.com. So, like maybe most of you, I just finished watching the World Cup. I guess you're probably listening to this on Monday, and so you know who won. It's not a secret anymore. So congrats to France. And my wife has relatives living in France, so I'm sure that they are probably jumping up and down like crazy right now. So again, congrats to France winning the World Cup. Unfortunately, as I've said before, the United States was not in this World Cup, which blows. But hey, maybe if we were a better team, we would have made the World Cup too. So enough soccer talk. Let's talk about game talk. I played a little bit this week. Summer's kind of been busy. I don't know about you guys, but haven't logged in as much as I'd like to. But still, when I did log in, been working on those summer directives just like everybody else. But enough about me. What's in store for this week's show? Well, first up, I have the July 11th PTS update to talk about, which introduced squad and implant changes to the game, as well as some other stuff. After that, I'll talk about some summer event stats. I'll talk about a PS4 exploit that should result in more than a ban, as far as I'm concerned. And finally, whether Planetside's Twitter was hacked or not. All that plus some listener email. So strap in as we hot drop into another episode of the Instant Action Podcast. First up, like I said, the July 11th PTS update. This was kind of a surprise. I didn't see any advance notice that we were going to be getting a PTS update, so kind of goes against what I was talking about last week, how I was hoping they'd just be working on performance issues and not working on other stuff within the game itself until performance is ironed out. And I know a lot of you echoed my complaints with performance and thanked me for actually talking about performance on an episode of the podcast, because a lot of you feel the same way that I do. But like I said, there was a PTS update last week. And starting off, let's talk about the squad changes that have come to the PTS. So first off, with the squad creation screen, you can now modify the default description, as well as basic recruitment and mentor status in the squad finder before pressing the squad create button. So you'll note mentor status. That's something new for squads. I'll talk about that in a moment. Moving on to fire teams. So this was talked about or teased during the dev live stream not too long ago, and they said they were going to change it so that they were putting people into fire teams now, not squads themselves. So now the default on PTS is that players will be filtered into fire teams upon entering a squad, and you're going to be put in the default fire team of hearts, though they think they might change that to diamond in the future. I'm not exactly sure why, but whatever. And any fire team with less than 3 members will receive the auto-filled members. And fire team size are not restricted, and they'll function the same as it has in the past. So again, if you create a squad now, Hearts is going to be the default fire team. Everybody's going to be dropped into that. They might change it to diamonds in the future, but again, you don't need to do fire teams if you don't want to do fire teams. You'll all be dropped into one of them, and you can have up to 12 of you in that individual fire team within the squad itself. You don't need to break into 4-member, whatever member size fire teams if you don't want to. Next up, outfit hosting. Squads can be flagged to host as outfit, which is an interesting change to the PTS. So basically, when a squad leader leaves or disconnects, any leadership, as long as the squad is set to host as outfit, will be passed to a existing outfit member rather than just to the next person in line, number 2 or whoever. It's going to force it into an outfit member. And here's the other kicker. If there are no remaining outfit members in the squad, instead of passing off leadership, the squad will just disband altogether. So that's kind of interesting that it would disband altogether. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. I mean, I understand if you're flipping it to host as outfit specifically so that outfit leaders are the only ones that are squad leading. I don't really understand why you would disband it at the end. I mean, well, let's think that out loud, because if the people creating it want this to be an outfit only squad, then sure. They don't want some random person being put in charge of it and then somebody thinking that they're in their outfit, but they're not really in the outfit. That's the thing I can see behind it. But maybe what I would recommend, rather than just disbanding the squad, is if there's no more outfit leaders in it, maybe it can just be changed to the host as outfit can be removed, and they can just change it to something different, maybe change the open ability, the name of it or something to just a random something. I don't know. It just seems silly to disband a squad. Like, say you've got a ton of random people and it's turned to outfit and the 3 outfit members all log off. Do you want an entire platoon's worth of squads be disbanding because of it? It just seems counterproductive. So maybe they will rethink that change. The next flag that you can do is auto platoon. So any squad that is flagged as auto platoon will automatically convert itself into a platoon when a new player over the first 12 is added. Previously, you basically had to move a squad member over to a new squad, open it for recruitment for a platoon to actually be created. So also additionally, any newly created squads within the platoon will inherit the alpha squad's recruitment preferences, friends only, outfit only, private, public, etc., etc. So that's a good change. I've almost wish that would be on by default, and it's something you had to turn off rather than turn on, but I mean, I understand it. I think that squads should kind of be pushed into platoons as much as possible. And next, and this is the biggest one, is the new mentor squads are available on the PTS. So you can flag your squad now as a mentor squad. Mentor squads cannot be turned into platoons, however. That's a key thing to realize. But any players that are BR15 or lower that use the auto squad finder, they're going to prioritize being inserted into available mentor squads over non-mentor squads. And this is just the beginning set to these. More features will be added in later updates to the game. So this is good. If you are in an outfit or you're playing in a squad that wants to get some low BR players in and help them kind of learn how to play the game and stuff like this, this is the way that you want to do it. I would, however, like to see them tie something into the mentor squads, some sort of rewards. I think anybody who turns their squad into a mentor squad and takes on a bunch of low BR players should earn some special reward in the game itself. That's just my personal opinion. And finally, with squads, in the squad window, you can now right-click anywhere on a squad member's bar to receive the options drop-down instead of having to click the buttons directly. And finally, they remove the /platoon promote me command from the game. They don't give an explanation why, but I wonder if some people were abusing it rather than using it as it's supposed to be used. So there are your squad changes in a nutshell. I like the majority of them and can't wait to see them actually come to life. There were also some additional UI improvements and fixes brought in with this PTS update. So now map regions can be colored separately from the UI from facilities, which I actually like. A lot of times people don't even realize that facility-related alerts are going off in the game, and maybe being able to color them separately might help that from going on. Also, speaking of events and alerts, any that are triggered on off continents will no longer appear on the HUD of your main continent, which to me is huge. I mean, I like knowing when they go off, but not necessarily need to see them on the HUD of my main continent. You can now see the alert status of the continents that you're currently on from the map screen itself. And finally, there was a bug in the last update where the tab screen no longer showed alert status. They fixed that on the PTS, so expect that to come to live sooner rather than later. Moving on to the other big addition in this PTS update is new implants. So a whole bunch of new implants were added to the test server. They are not in the standard drop tables, so don't bother going in and buying 100 implant packs or whatever. Instead, you need to go look for the implant test bundle that's in the depot. If you purchase that, it's going to unlock all currently available test server implants. And I know earlier in the week that there was an issue where not everyone was included. That has been fixed as far as I'm aware. So just remember that. And they also say that in the future, they'll be granting the ability to purchase implants with ISO 4 alongside other ISO economy changes. No further information on that currently. So let's talk about these new implants that are out there. And note that when I'm talking about these, they're all still a work in progress. They're just on PTS. Everything I say does not mean that we're going to see this exact thing on live. So the first one is called Survivalist. And what this does is it increases the shield recharge rate and also grants a temporary sprint speed boost when you are at low health. The next one is called Athlete, and this increases sprint acceleration, deceleration, and how quickly you get your hold breath back. The next one is called Sidewinder, and it increases strafing speed at the cost of lower strafing acceleration and deceleration. The next one is called Paratrooper, and this is for light assaults only. Players take less damage from targets directly beneath them. Note that the comment on this particular one says that this implant will likely be redesigned in a later update. There's no specific as to why they don't like this one, but maybe, I can see for a good light assault players, if you're in the air, that would be cool, but I'm wondering if this also counts for when you're on top of buildings or maybe on top of a tower or on above the grinders in a tech plant or something like that. That's my wonder. It says directly beneath them, but I wonder if it's tough for them to determine what directly beneath them is, and if it's something that's giving it to anybody who's at a higher elevation than another player. And if that's the case, you wouldn't even need to be in the air to make that happen, and that's why I think they're probably redesigning this at a later update. The next one is called Electrotech, and this one is for engineers only. And for this one, when your shields break, a pulse of repairing nanites will restore the health of nearby equipment. And Rel did clarify that this is for anything that can be repaired, and that means maxes as well. So that's something to take into consideration on Electrotech. It seems like that could be a little powerful. Where this says a pulse, I wouldn't be surprised if they change that so that it's a heal over time effect rather than just a quick, boom, you get all this health back. It would really make engineers and maxes a lot more powerful. Moving on to the next one called Mobility Mesh, and this is for heavy assault only. And this is going to reduce the mobility penalty while a shield is active as a heavy assault. Obviously now, when you turn on that shield, you move a lot slower. I would use this all the time on my heavy assault if I would not have to worry about moving slower while I have my shields active. So that's kind of an interesting one. Next is Mending Field, and this is for medics only. And this says any nearby allies who are critically wounded heal passively up to a certain amount of health. That's certainly an interesting one. It's an auto heal for medics, and they don't even have to do anything. I don't know what critically wounded really means. It must mean a specific percentage of health left. But I could see quite a few medics running this to keep people alive. We'll have to see how that one works more. Next is Symbiote, and this is one that they showed on that most recent dev live stream. And what it does is it grants you a 20% small arms resistance, which does not stack with Nanoweave, so you wouldn't wear Nanoweave along with this. But if you've gone a certain length of time without taking small arm damage, the Symbiote will devour a portion of your health pool periodically. And there was a decent amount of time before it actually happened, and they did state that the Symbiote will not kill you, so the worst that will happen is it will just leave you with 1 health. Next is Gunslinger, and this one is any kills with a sidearm increases your reload speed for a short time. And the final new one is called Firewall, and this is one also shown on the recent live stream, and this is for infiltrators only. And what you can do is you can now interact with an allied turret and embed them with a firewall, which increases the turret's health pool and provides an extra layer of defense when enemy infiltrators attempt to hack them. So the way that works is it's going to have a glowy red effect to it, so you know that it's got a firewall on it, and basically the enemy infiltrator has to come up and hack the firewall first and then hack the turret itself to gain control over it. So that's what they mean by an extra layer of defense. So those again are the new implants that are on the test server right now in a nutshell. Again, I would expect a lot of these to change from what they are to what they actually do when they come to live. Now, in addition to those implants, we did have some implant adjustments come out this week. First is to Sensor Shield, and its detection range reduction is being buffed across all ranks, and the rank 5 benefit is being shifted to Sidewinder, which I just talked about a moment ago, as a rank 5 benefit. It's still work in progress, but the Sensor Shield would receive something new instead of that rank 5 benefit, and they're thinking right now that possibly it's going to be reduced awareness range of automated turrets, but they're not 100% sure yet. Minor Cloak also got some buffs to it, so they fixed a bug first that could turn your class ability on by attempting to fire your weapon while you were cloaked. They also changed the delay, the uncloaked delay for firing a weapon down to 1 second. And also now moving within Minor Cloak will no longer immediately reset your cloak cooldown, but it will uncloak you. But now the less time you spend moving, the faster you'll be able to recloak. Now, firing your weapon does also reset Minor Cloak countdown, ensuring that players no longer accidentally fall into Minor Cloak while engaged in combat. And their hope with this is that it's more usable and less clunky as an implant altogether. Assimilate also is getting changes. Its Tier 5 benefit from 30% of current energy restore is now to 10% of maximum energy restore, and their thought is that restructuring this benefit reduces the overwhelming synergy with Adrenaline Shield currently, while resulting in higher energy returns in situations where you normally deplete or get close to depleting your energy, since it no longer bases the regeneration on your current energy supply. Again, it's on your maximum energy supply. Nanomesh Specialist also got some changes. Again, this is heavy assault only. Your overshield abilities now decay slower while stationary and slower while moving. And your rank 5, your depleted overshield no longer has a delay before it begins charging. So they basically took the rank 5 bonus and progressions from rank 1 and 4 and they swapped them and increased them to be more useful in more situations. Moving on to the next one, Deep Operative, which is infiltrator only. When you spend longer than a total of the defined seconds outside of cloak without taking damage, your cloak's visibility is now going to be reduced by 75%, and dying or taking damage from any sources will reset this cooldown. Also, rank 5, killing an enemy will remove 3 seconds from the cooldown itself. So the reason for these change is the previous visibility reduction was too weak for anyone to notice it, and increasing that benefit as a passive could have been too strong. So this is the middle ground that they have decided to move into. So they've also removed the rank 5 scan mechanic in place of a benefit that lets the player more quickly return to that enhanced cloaked state. For aerial combatant, this is for light assaults. They say it now works more consistently. There were issues with it. Fuel restorations are now the same percentage of max fuel regardless of jump jet type, and vehicle kills at rank 5 restore 30% of their jump jet fuel. Now, it's also worth noting that deployables now no longer trigger aerial combat. And the changes that we just went over are more centered around cleaning it up and offering a small increase on the energy return through vehicle kills themselves. The other miscellaneous changes, implant screen now allows filtering of exceptional, breakdown implants now works if a filter is active, and the overdrive implant should once again work because it was broken. Now we also have finally some infantry changes, and it's basically heavy assault. You'll note that heavy assault shields are no longer going to be disabled when entering a vehicle, and they also added more specifics to resist shield, adrenaline shield, and nanite mesh generators descriptions. Nanite mesh generator first cost is also down from 12.5 to 10 energy. The adrenaline shield first cost went from 18 to 25. And you'll note that these changes grant a small buff to NMG, a small nerf to adrenaline shield, and it allows heavy assaults to retain active shields while in the rumble seat of a vehicle. And this also includes being the driver of a flash, provided that you turn that on before entering. So obviously previously, if you had your shield on and you jumped on a flash or in a rumble seat, it disabled it. And that's kind of not fair. You know, you've got it. You might as well be able to use it. So now going forward, you'll be able to pop that shield on, and as long as it lasts, you'll be able to have it on while you're in a rumble seat or driving a flash itself to kind of help you live a little bit longer. Finally, miscellaneous changes and fixes. Summer event items which weren't available on test server are now there. They've also streamlined the way vehicle discounts from the anomaly event, aerial anomaly, work, and they're thinking that this is going to have some performance improvements as a result, but until they get a large-scale test in place, they're not 100% sure. Shield shaders also should no longer create a tearing reflection near the edge of the screen. That was mostly happening when placing or viewing construction objects. They fixed some max ammunition container bugs. They reduced the floating feet in idle animations, and they also fixed the knife sprinting animations that were absolutely insane when you actually looked at them. So there you go. That's our PTS update in a nutshell. Biggest things, squad changes. Second thing, all those new implants. So if you haven't been on PTS or haven't updated your PTS lately, this is the reason to do it. Get on there, play around with those implants, and provide your feedback to the devs. Now let's move on to some summer fun stats. Specifically, someone on Reddit asked if Daybreak Games could dig up how many maxes have been destroyed by the Soldier Soaker so far, and Prompt Critical was happy to oblige. And so in case anybody's curious, as of July 13th, this would be Friday, over 2,000 maxes had been killed by the Soldier Soaker. VS, not surprisingly, had the lowest amount of deaths with 638. And before anybody says, oh, God, VS maxes are better, VS right now is having a little bit of an underpop situation on most servers that I've seen. So with less VS maxes being pulled, obviously I think there would be less deaths, so I'm not surprised. Pulling in second, NC, 726 deaths. I know my first kill with the Soldier Soaker was an NC max. Maybe I'll put that into the video this week so anybody can see that if they want to. And coming in third is TR, or coming in last, TR with 798, so almost 800 now that were on. It's the 15th. So again, total of 2,072 max kills with the Soldier Soaker. I don't know about you guys, but this is like my mini game for this summer, is to go in and try specifically kill maxes with the Soldier Soaker. If I see a max all out there by itself getting absolutely smashed on by enemies, I'll run in just with the Soldier Soaker and try specifically to kill it. Unfortunately, I have not killed that many because it's usually a suicide mission, but it is some of the most fun that I've had in the summer event, so I highly recommend you give it a try too. Again, just a small little stats thing I found amusing and figured you guys would enjoy hearing about as well. Now let's move on to some PlayStation 4 news. All right, PS4 folks. There is a new, well, it's probably not new, but it's new to me because I'd never seen it before. But if you guys know Ben Heisenberg, PS2, posts on Reddit all the time, good guy, put a post up this past week about an issue within Planetside 2 on PS4 where a player can go and enter some HTML code into the chat, and what will happen is it will disable all text chat for other players, and it turns the text chat, faction chat, all other chat, even in-game notifications into these little squares and brackets and stuff like that, totally, completely unreadable. And the only way to fix it is you need to log out of the game and log back in for it to be for the chat itself to reset and fix it. So obviously, the reported him and stuff like that. But I wanted to bring it to everybody's attention because I don't think everybody playing on PS4 knows what this is or knows how to fix it. And again, first off, like I said, if your chat goes all wonky, all your in-game notifications, everything like that, looks like squares or brackets or things that you can't read, it's because somebody has fucked with the chat itself within the game. And a quick fix for you, and the only real fix at this point, is to log out of the game and then log back into the game. And yes, that sucks. The other thing that you should do is if you find out who did it, report them. And so I had to actually look up how to report somebody on the PS4. And what you need to do is you can't do it within the game itself. You've got to go and find that person's gamer tag, and you got to report that their gamer tag is offensive or something like that. And then within that, you'll be able to report them for harassment. And that's how you're going to be able to get somebody banned within the game itself. Now, on top of that, Ben did go through and post this on Reddit and said that he reported it and got no response or got a response with it and things like that, but is unhappy that there's no way for them to permanently block this on the PS4. And Roxley did respond on Reddit, and it's worth talking about what she said. And, she wants everybody to remember that neither she nor Rel nor Nick nor Drew nor anybody else has any way to ban somebody within the game itself. It's all handled through the customer service team, which they're not part of. And she says, don't send customer service issues her way because she can guarantee she's not going to be handling it, and she doesn't have the tools to look into it. Nobody does. So that being said, with this particular instance, she was more than happy to, ping the customer service team internally so that they know that it's kind of blowing up on Reddit and everybody's pissed off about it and they'll look into it. But again, that's not the main route to do it. That you got to submit your ban in game itself or request in the PS4 itself, and then you can also go on to the Daybreak Games website and submit a report there as well. Submit a ticket that's going to go into the customer service team. And yes, I understand that really sucks for PS4 players because a lot of you maybe aren't going to go run over to your PC and log on to Daybreak Games and submit a complaint and something like that. But if you see something game breaking like this is unfortunately the route that you do have to take until they input something on PS4 to make it easier to do that, which I kind of wish that they would. I wish they'd give you the ability to do a /bug or a /report on PS4. We have it on PC. I think it should pull itself over. But again, if you see that stuff in text, this is what's going on. And with that, let's move on to a final question this week. And that question is, was Planetside 2's Twitter hacked? Now, if you saw this, there was just a yield sign with an exclamation point in it, characters that looks like ERNSROROPERS, and then another yield sign or triangle, yellow triangle side with an exclamation point in it. And then in the image attached to it, it kind of looks like one of the gray camos. At least it does to me, like one of the Esamir camos. Nobody really knows what this exactly is, and there's certainly a lot of speculation on it. The devs won't say exactly what it is. Rel tongue-in-cheek tweeted BFR ? Some other people translated it via Google, which really doesn't work as well because other people have pointed out that the translation doesn't work. Roxley translated it into egg wife, and somebody said, oh, that must be brood mother. There's just nobody really knows exactly what's going on with this, and honestly, everybody over at Daybreak Games is being pretty quiet about it as well. Roxley has said that they won't comment on it. They won't give a hint on what it is or anything like that. So I don't think that the Daybreak Games Twitter or Planetside 2's Twitter was hacked. I think this is probably some sort of thing that they're doing to push people to speculate on what's actually coming. Again, to me, it just looks like a camo and some weird words. But you'll note that this week's show is called Ernst Ropers, as homage to this. So again, I don't think Planetside 2's Twitter was hacked. I think this is some elaborate thing that they're throwing out there, and they'll reveal it to us at a later date. What that will be, I don't know, but I'll sit on pins and needles like the rest of you and wait for it. But with that, let's move on to housekeeping this week.
Housekeeping. Housekeeping.
Come back later, please.
Housekeeping.
Not now.
Housekeeping.
Go away.
I coming anyway?
As I said at the beginning of the show, I do have an email this week, and the email comes from Zastrom. And he wrote, the latest change to the construction system has meant that it is no longer profitable to build a large base. One big mistake was to remove the possibility of locking the silo. Imagine that you have managed to scrape together 35,000 cordium. This gives you about 30 minutes you can be from the base, and no, someone comes and drains the silo to 10,000, which means you have to fill the silo for the base because it draws about 1,000 per minute and then dies after about 15 minutes. Also note the limit for silo to lock should be 20,000, but it's 10,000. This means you have to look for cordium instead of participating in the battle. It's better to build a silo and a routing spire or whatever you want and nothing more and hope for the best. As far as the quality of the game is concerned, it works well for me. There was some small FPS freezes right after Construction Reconstructed update. I know that the QA department was removed from DBG a couple years ago, and after that, several big and small errors have managed to go live, with the result that there comes a hotfix, sometimes with a hotfix for the hotfix. It would probably not hurt a QA department at DBG to improve the quality. And then he writes, Nick, do you have anything to add? Because he CC'd Nick on this email, and then wrote, may Vanu smile upon you. So first, Astrom, yeah, I agree, and I've said it on previous shows. I had an email from Louis, much to the same thing. Removing the ability to lock the silo is a big mistake that I think they made with this update, and that I think you should be able to relock it. And I haven't heard any rumblings on it or any comment one way or another, but I do hope that they will reconsider it. And yes, your comment about 20,000, but 10,000 is correct. Drew did say that it's supposed to be 20,000 though, and it has been fixed on test. As soon as they can get that to live, it will come to live. But we do run the issue right now that if you build a base, that somebody's going to come along and build some other stuff from it and use a lot of the cordium in your silo, and you're going to be spending quite a lot of time gathering cordium in order to keep it powered. And right now, yes, it does make much more sense to build a silo, build a routing spire, and then go place your routing spire, and that's it. Or build your router and then build your silo and then build your orbital strike and build nothing else. Unfortunately, I agree 100%, and I don't like the fact that that's the way it is in this game right now. So I'm also hoping that they give you the ability to lock the silo. The FPS freezes are still happening to me. I'm glad that they're not happening to you currently. or maybe they still are, but they're happening to me quite a lot. You know, I'll just be playing and then I'll kill somebody and then bam, I'll freeze, and then someone will kill me while I'm frozen. And that's one of the worst feelings in the game as far as I'm concerned. I do sort of recall that the QA department was gone, but I don't know that that's 100% true. And I've never received any clarification from Daybreak Games specifically saying that they have no QA department at all for the game, whether that's Planetside 2, H1Z1, EverQuest, every other game that they have out there. So there may be a small QA department within the game itself. I'm not 100% sure. But regardless, thank you for that email, and I agree with the majority of everything you wrote. Oh, I agree with everything that you wrote about construction. But the FPS stuff is bothering me still a lot. And I'm not going to lie, there are times where the FPS freezes annoy me so much that I've logged out and stopped playing. And some days where I've been like, should I log in and play? And no, I've gone and done something else because I know that we have these freezes and other issues within the game itself that kind of are making me not want to play as much as I have in the past. So hopefully the devs hear that coming from me as a main reason why I haven't been playing as much as I normally do, in addition to just it being summer and a lot of stuff's going on. But again, I appreciate that email. And that's going to be it for this week's show. How can you get in touch with me or the show? Well, first, as always, visit my website, www.instantactionpodcast.com. Everything you ever wanted to know or need to know about the show is there. The support the show links there. My Amazon links there. You can subscribe to the show there. Everything that you need to do is right there. You can also email me at instantactionshow@gmail.com like Zastrom did. You can also call me, 347-4VM-4PS2, where those digits are 347-486-4772. Also, follow the show on Twitter at InstActPodcast, and follow me on Twitter personally at The Derringer. But in closing, if you've enjoyed the show, please leave me a review on your podcast listening avenue of choice, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, the new Google Podcast, or anywhere else. Also, feel free to tell your friends and outfit mates about the show. And finally, thanks for listening, and keep spamming that Join Combat, formerly known as Instant Action button.
Get your arms combined.